Hey, what's up? Here's another Excel tutorial that you should find very interesting. With the new versions of the program coming out, there will always be additions, and they're always looking to solve more and more problems. So here we're going to look at something similar to Sumif and CountifsExcel. Sumif and CountifsExcel you already know, we've been working with them for a while, but now we're going to add some additional criteria, which will bring a problem if we don't know what to do. So let's do CountifsExcel first because that's the easy one. Here is my table. I want showing part of the table. It has about 100 entries, and there are more fields to the left, which are of no interest to us right now. All the fields that we want are showing on screen. So you want to do some CountifsExcel, and we have often the prices here because they have list price, actual price, discount, and then I calculated the final price based on the discount. So if you want to know how many prices, simple CountifsExcel, how many prices are above $200? So that's the question right here. So here we're going to put our result, and we can do a simple CountifsExcel. So it asks for the range, and the range is going to be here because that is where our prices are. We're going to separate it, very important. And now we put our criteria as the tip is show, and don't forget to put the parentheses, and we said more than 200. And close the parentheses, or close the quotes, close the parentheses. So it simply says, looking in this range, K2 to K101, for all the prices above 200, and tell me how many they are. Press enter, and there you go, 44. Well, here we got a problem now, because we don't want to know how many prices there are under 600, nor do we want to know how many above 250. But rather we want to know how many there are between 600 and 250 inclusively. Now, a CountifsExcel cannot handle that, so we need another formula that can do that. And that's where we introduce the CountifsExcel. That's IFS. So it goes like this. CountifsIFS. With parentheses. Now you see the query fields are different. First, I ask for criteria range 1. Before the one we did for criteria range, it says criteria range 1. So I'm going to select my field. And now it asks, after I add my separator, it asks me now for criteria 1. So my criteria 1, I can say it is $600 or less. So less than, equal, 600. But I forgot my quotes, so therefore I gotta do a F2. Add my quote there, and now I can go back and add the other quote in front. Remember the F2, the edit button, and I add my separator. But what happens? It asks me for criteria range 2. So I go and add same range again. So you see how we range it twice. First one is criteria range 1, and this one that I just put in again is criteria range 2. Add the separator, and then ask me for criteria 2, and that is where I'm going to put my other end, which is quotes more than or equal to 250. I close my quotes. I don't have any other criteria, but it could be up to about 29 criteria that you can put in there. But I only have in this case 2, so I can close my parentheses. So my statement says countifs range K 2 to K 101, looking for everything from 600 downwards, but we are stopping at 250. So anything between 250 and 600 will be counted. I can now press my enter key, and there you go. There are 23 entries that fall between 600 and 250, inclusive of the 250 and the 600. That's it for the countifs. Now let's turn our attention now to this one here that may be a little more troublesome. You all know what a Sumif does. You know about the setting the range and setting the count range, the sum range. So by using a comparative criteria, you put up certain entries from the sum range and you add them to give a total. But the problem here is that we have not one criterion, but 2 criteria. Because in this first case here, you can see we want the region to be APAC and the item to be vacuum cleaners. So we only want vacuum cleaners from APAC. That moves us away from the Sumif to the Sumifs. So here we go. Equal Sumifs. Let me go back and right. All right, so we add S to the end of Sumif and open the parentheses. Here is a major change to what you knew before, because the sum range for the Sumif comes at the end of the formula. And this particular one, it comes at the beginning of the formula. So my first thing to add is my sum range, which is here, the final prices, because that is where I want my prices to be added. Now I got my sum range, I can add my separator, and it asks me now for the criteria range. And if I fall on the region, this is the region over here. So I will select, remember that you leave out the heading, and then select the whole region, all the regions. So that is D2 to D102. I add my separator, and it asks me for the criteria that goes with that range. Now, normally you can just use your quotes and type your criteria on in, but since I have it here in my table, I can simply select it instead, and that allows me some flexibility because I can make changes to my table and still get the right result. If I type it in with quotes, then it becomes static. But I want to be dynamic, that I can change the region at any time to get other results. So I click on the cell, which is M6, and that whatever is in M6 will be my criteria. I have my separator. Now it's going to ask me for my second criteria range. My second criteria range is on the item. So here's my item range here. So I select all the items. And I go back up. I can see what I'm doing. That is hiding. My separator, good. So that's F2 to F101. And what do we want to look for in there? I want to look for vacuum cleaners, vacuum cleaner. So therefore, it is already here in my table. So I can click on it. So whatever is the N6, and in this case, it's vacuum cleaner, that would be it. So I know I have everything that I want. I have my sum range, I have my first criteria range, followed by the first criteria, then my second criteria range, followed by the criteria. And I can now close my parentheses. I press enter, there you go. $1,210.50 was spent on vacuum cleaners. Now, I'm going to take a shortcut to do the next two, because I can go through that all over again, but why? I can just go back here and modify my formula. So I say I have my K2 to K101. All I have to do is add my dollar signs to fix that range. So if I click there by K2, I can press F4, sorry. And that will put my dollar signs in. I want to keep all my ranges fixed. So I can select all of that. F4 again. And then my third range here. And I go F4 again. So I have my ranges fixed, which means that I can copy my formula, and the other two queries will go in on their own. So just grab the end here and put it down, and there you go. Problem solved. Latam, you want maybe look for irons in Latam, $78.40, and refrigerators in EMEA. And that came to $2,893. That's it. Problem solved.